Hello, everyone. My name is Lexi Wood, and I am an MBA student at Oklahoma State University. And today I have the pleasure of speaking with Caleb Davidge, owner of modern luxury photography brand Leisure Piece. Caleb, thanks for joining us, and want to know if you could tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll jump into the questions. Take it away.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks for having me, Lexi. I have I had a beverage company that I started in college with a few friends back in 2010 and did that for about 8 years and did some beverage consulting and really just wanted to start another company and be an owner in another company. So I jumped into the e-commerce industry and, like you said, started a print-on-demand framed fine art photography business. So I've basically been in startups my whole career, from 8 years with the beverage company and some beverage consulting, and then I've been doing this business with Leisure Peace for about 3 years now.
Awesome. Okay, let's go ahead and jump into questions. So to start, how would you describe your leadership style, and how has it evolved over time?
Um, I would describe my leadership style as encouraging. I think it's really important to find out what makes people tick and what really motivates them. So, I'd say like three key pillars of leadership are it's all comes down to really leading by example, but I'd say energy, um, effort, and communication are three really important things. You've got to be available, you've got to lead by example, and you really have to understand the person that you're working with or that's working for you
Mhm.
and what motivates them and inspires them to do better and accomplish their goals.
Sure. Do you feel like that's evolved over time, like the longer you've been a business owner?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I mean, I've had the opportunity, I guess, and the pleasure to be managing a wide variety of people. When we were with the beverage company, I was the president and technically VP of sales. So I was managing our distributors and accounts, but more importantly, I remember one summer I was managing, I think it was 16 people, which was way too much for one person. There should always be tiers. Like, I don't think a manager should manage more than 4 to 6 people at a certain time. But it was a startup and we were learning, obviously. And, there was people that, I was 20, 25 or something at the time. And I would be managing guys that were 40 or 45 and had kids. And, everybody has different things that they, uh, that you can relate to them on, and you've kind of got to figure out what, like what I said, like what makes people inspired and motivated to do their job, which sometimes is just monetary, sometimes it's just having a relationship with them outside of work and just getting to know them on a personal level. So yeah, that's probably it's a wide variety of leadership that you have to be good at. Like, you really have to get to know the person you're working with to see, how can I connect with this person? What motivates them to do their job best? And, how can I make that happen?
Yeah, awesome. What do you believe are the most important qualities of an effective leader?
Most important qualities of an effective leader, I'd say, are organization. So having like really clear, organized goals for the company and for the employee. Um, and then I would say leading by example.
Mhm.
Like, there's nothing worse than, having somebody who telling you what to do that, they wouldn't do themselves or that they don't know how to do.
Sure.
Because if they haven't been through it and understand how to do something, then, you kind of just like, that you don't really respect them as a leader. So when you see somebody who's working harder than you are and they're really like in the weeds and aren't afraid to get their hands dirty and are motivating you and inspiring you, then it's as long as that those things are in place, then it's relatively easy.
Yeah. Can you share an example of a time when you had to adapt your leadership style to meet the needs of your team or a specific situation?
Yeah. Yeah, I think like going back to the beverage days, I was that one summer I was managing like 8 interns that were all summer college interns, so they're all in college somewhere. And, that was a lot more of like training and, you know, kind of like micromanaging.
Sure.
Whereas at the same time, I was managing 6 full-time people that were in their 40s, 10 to 15 years older than me, and had kids and families. And they required a lot different style, I guess, of training and just overall leadership. Like, there's a lot of communication, but a wide variety of communication. So you always have to be patient, can't get mad.
Mhm.
And if you do need to kind of crack the whip, you can do so best by saying you're kind of disappointed. And it's kind of like your parents back in the day. If they say you're disappointed, it's almost worse than them getting angry. And you don't want to disappoint somebody who's a good leader.
Sure.
So that's the perfect situation is when you can get employees that are really motivated to do things and don't want to disappoint you.
That kind of fuels or feeds into the next question. What strategies do you use to motivate your team and maintain engagement, especially during challenging times? So I assume those different age groups too, motivation styles are completely different.
Yeah. Yeah, I think as long as everybody on the team. I mean, I try to bring everybody together on our team as much as possible. It's tough because we're in different cities and technically are working remote, so we have, weekly calls and I'm checking in with other people daily. So it really boils down to energy, effort, communication. If everybody's got to bringing energy and effort and communicating, you
Mhm.
know, it's a lot easier to go through challenging times and finding out what really motivates people and inspires them. Like one person might, get really excited at a bonus incentive that we could run, or another person might be, just excited to catch up and talk about life outside of work.
Mhm.
Another person might, really want tickets to a concert or something. So you kind of have to see what makes people really tick and focus on the positive
Mhm.
on tough times and be like, this is a test
Or
to see.
temporary.
Yeah, yeah, and just stay positive and focus on the good.
Mhm. I love that. How do you identify and develop potential leaders within your organization or within your company?
I think that part's really easy to identify a potential leader. Or at least a really good employee that you could see being with the company for a long time because it's pretty easy to tell right off the bat, even if you're training somebody on something new, people either come to you with problems that they have that they're technically, supposed to be taking care of,
Mhm.
or solutions.
Mhm.
So the people that come to you with solutions, or they handle the problems as they come in, uh, or they bring you solutions like, hey, Caleb, this happened. I think we should do this. Just wanted to confirm you agree.
Mhm.
That's a quality of a leader versus most people, a problem comes up and they find an excuse to stop what they're doing and then, kind of bug the leader to say, oh, well, I ran into this problem and they're complaining and they can't, finish what you're paying them to do because it's a problem and they just get stuck easily. And
Or
a
troubleshoot.
good
Yeah.
leader, yeah, a good leader will if they don't handle the problem and solve it on their own, then they'll come up with good solutions and be a part of the solution, not a part of the problem.
Yeah. Great. How do you ensure open and effective communication within your team?
Um, that's a really good question, especially it's extremely challenging, or probably more challenging for a company like Leisure Peace, because we do have so many people that are really like part-time and working remotely.
Mhm.
So the best is to have a culture and really build a culture like in an office and have the team together as much as possible. So it's definitely more challenging now in this situation, but um, the best thing to do is to have, weekly calls, check in with people outside of those weekly calls, talk about things other than work
Mhm.
and really build a relationship with them on a personal level. So again, at the end of the day, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like you're really a part of a team.
Yeah. I can
Yeah.
imagine how being remote, that makes it so much harder to build culture and commitment even.
Yeah. Yeah, especially when people are part-time because they have, you know, I tried to be very lean when I started this company and uh a couple of the people have, like full-time jobs. Like it started at 11 o'clock Eastern, so we have calls at 10 o'clock Eastern on Mondays and get everybody together.
Mm.
And then we'll do like a monthly team call with everybody as well and try to like, bring a lot to the table. And it's just really important to have community and culture.
Yeah.
It's even more important when you're all working remotely. So
Mhm.
having structured calls and then, checking in on people outside of work or talking about things that aren't always work related are super important.
Yeah. What has been one of the biggest challenges you faced as a manager and how did you overcome it?
Um, Probably some of the bigger challenges are when people, for me, I like to see the good in people, which is not always the easiest thing to do when you're managing someone and they're not doing a good job. Um, so I'd say some of the biggest challenges I've had is when I've had to fire people,
Mhm.
especially like back in the beverage days when I had to fire people that like had kids and
Mm.
that was their career. But, I just, again, moving forward, I've always tried to be super clear on what I expect and what the company expects. And the clearer you are on what you expect and what the company expects from a goals perspective and like a performance perspective, then the easier it is to let somebody go if they don't hit those.
Mhm.
So I would say that yeah, the biggest challenge I think I've had is firing people. And in the beginning of my career, I probably wasn't as clear with them. Like I would think something that they should be doing something better, and I wouldn't necessarily communicate that with them. And then, I would just have to fire them.
Mhm.
And I think if I would have done a better job of communicating and having really clear, organized goals and processes to talk about performance, it makes those conversations a lot easier. And the employee also knows,
What's
where they stand and they're
Mhm.
not kind of blindsided by something like that.
Mhm. We probably have time for one more question. How do you lead your team through organizational changes or transitions while maintaining trust and productivity?
Um, Probably just focusing on the good and focusing on what the outcome is and just reiterating how it's a positive thing, whatever we're doing, and focusing on the positive. Like if a bad leader would complain, and you can never complain as a leader, you have to always lead by example and
Hmm.
act like everything's happening for a reason and just be positive.
Yeah.
And and it's the only way to do it. Because if you show an ounce of anger or frustration or um, more importantly, disappointment or anxiety around something, then that just has a ripple effect to everybody. So you have to lead by example and motivate and inspire. And the rest of all those things are easy if you can do that with energy, effort, communication, really the key pillars.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Caleb. I know you're a busy man and we go way back, so I knew you'd be a great person to interview and I appreciate your time.
Thanks so much, Lexi. Good luck with the rest of your school.
Thank you. Bye.
All right, bye.